service. So tune in to a simulcast of Primal Sports on Fit FM 96.7, fitfmja.com, and primal4k.com.
Get your day started right with the Morning Connection. Weekday mornings, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on Fit FM 96.7. Connect with Julia Mikkel Benaya on the Morning Connection for news, business and artist promotions, great music and vibe. Morning Connection with Julia Mikkel Benaya, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. weekdays on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music.
For 2 days, the 5 o'clock hour is hot on Fit FM 96.7, www.fitfmja.com. Your life, your music with Lady D, Denise Gomez, inside the zone. Catch me on Monday at 5 p.m. for the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. And on Friday, yes, at 5 p.m. for Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. From abroad to yard, Trelawney, my love one.
This is Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. The time courtesy of Trelawney's Radio is 3 p.m.
96.7.
Fit FM is owned and operated by Communistation Company Limited, located in Stuart Castle, Duncan's, Trelawney, Jamaica. We broadcast on FM 96.7 locally and is heard worldwide on fitfmja.com. Our mission is to amplify diverse voices and opinions, inform, educate, entertain, and engage listeners of all ages and lifestyle while promoting responsible community development. Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music.
Blessings and light. This is Imara, the music revolutionary. Your host and the community buzz on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. This and every Monday at 3 p.m. From the home to the community to the wider world. Let us be the change we want to see. Join me this and every Monday at 3 p.m. on the community buzz on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. Struggle goes on. We are the builders of the pyramids. We are the builders of the stone cities of Zimbabwe. We build them White House. We build them factories. With blood, with sweat, with tears. With flesh, with bones. Them use build them economy. Now them want to con you and me with them science and them technology. We make them take with knowledge. Now them are deafly. Them are blind. We are walk, we are ride, we are drive, we are fly. Nah look, nah see. Eyes focus on the screen of an iPhone, Galaxy, tablet, Blackberry. Wake up, look. Uno no sister them are buried with. Ancestors crying out. Them are weak, you see we heading back to slavery. Robotic, digital, technological slavery. The rich take them session, call it recession. Grand afternoon, massive across the world. East, west, north, south, up, above, and below. Because we also celebrate those who gone before, those who yet to come, and those who are here with us. This is the Community Buzz on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. And I am Imara, the musical revolutionary. Yes, we are here. What date is this? The 27th? Me? Yeah, man. So it goes. See? And we are moving on. We are actually heading to the half of the year. And there is where it is. We're moving on. 2024 is galloping like on horse on a track. See? And we keep galloping and moving on. We give thanks for this another day, hot day in Jamaica. You know what I mean? Some people, because a man can't even take clothes on at the time, you know what I mean? Always off, you know what I mean? Most of the time. But we give thanks because that is life and this is some changes. I don't know if people notice, all the mango them just look different on the tree. Then they start get black and parch and some small and, they're not too sweet as they used to be, you know what I mean? So I know that changes is happening in the atmosphere, in the universe. And we are feeling it within ourselves, some getting more enlightened, some getting darker. And this is the reality of life. See? But we give thanks. We give thanks for those who are becoming more enlightened, and those who are getting darker in their darkness, sad day for you, you know what I mean? But so many things happening. When we observe these news nowadays, we have to laugh because we see people, just doing some things and we say, boy, when will it end? This is it. We're going to politics again because it's a part of our daily lives. It is affecting us some way or another. And sometimes people are going to find a way to say some things, even if on a side go. But guess what? We are media houses and we have to make all views content. People have to hear what is happening out there. See, this is another post. And people are saying the same thing that took place at the last time when the Minister of State who went to England and the blacking out of the two former Prime Minister, P.J. Patterson and Portia Simpson Miller face. Yes. Now, we see this as something and pop up again, and the picture is there where, the former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson, 3-time Prime Minister of Jamaica, consecutive, the only Prime Minister who has never been defeated at an election, resigned. So this is the story. Opposition People's National Party, PNP, has doubled down on its call for the implementation of a comprehensive social media policy for government officials. It comes after the photograph of Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Sports Minister Olivia Babs-Grange, former PNP Prime Minister Percival James Patterson, and cricket fans was posted on Miss Grange's social media pages yesterday. However, in the accompanying caption, Mr. Holness and Miss Grange were acknowledged while Mr. Patterson was not. The situation prompted outrage from several social media users who described the action as disrespectful, claiming it was indicative of political tribalism. It is a statement today. In a statement today, opposition spokesperson and information, Nikisha Burchell, lamented that despite significant outcry from the public, the caption remained unchanged for nearly 14 hours. Now, we'll say, this is kind of petty politics. And if it is the way it is happening in Jamaica, you know what I mean? What kind of example are we setting for the ordinary people? We are saying leaders must set examples. That's what we are saying. You must set examples, you know what I mean? And you can't be so tribalistic in your action. If that is the case, and we have to say it as we see it. And, if it is not so, well, those who posted that picture are on the sports minister social media page. It is another thing that you see happen recently, and we'll consider this again. So something not right.
something all right and it need to be fixed. We must fix it. You know what I mean? Because if we don't fix it, we are going to allow the people them who have followed both sides to remain. For the matter come like the people them start to wake up more and now make them fool them and trick them anymore. You understand? So we have to see what is right from what is wrong. You know, say we have to go touch this. We have to touch this. And I try to avoid it, but we need to read it because it is in Trelawney and it is within this constituency. It's kind of long, I hope we can go through it. And me I go read it. The reason why I'm going to read it is because politics is affecting us. And we see some things taking place. And if we allow it and we don't intervene and be a part of the process, not to get ourselves entangled in the nastiness, but to see how we can deal with it, that it can be of benefit to the wider community. So, more of the people who are listening, make them own decision. But this called the meadorization of North Trelawney. See, it's about me and to L with PMP, right? Some say karma and others say call it God's intervention. I'm thinking about this when now Comrade Dennis was selected to lead the effort of North Trelawney to regain the PMP position in the next general election. As it happened, whatever you may call it, because of a self-inflicting wound, rightfully, the comrade leader removed him from standing for the party. I am enclosing a transcript from a recent meeting about the proposed replacement Meadows is pushing down the throats of easily manipulated, the person who wrote this, are comrades who are not looking beyond their toes. Here it is. I am delighted to report that yesterday's meeting was well attended with Comrades Meadows presiding. During the meeting, Comrade Meadows informed us of his full support for Comrade McNeil candidacy for a member of Parliament for North Trelawney in the best interest of the People's National Party, PMP, our constituency. Comrade Meadows also mentioned that Comrade McNeil is likely to become the Minister of Tourism, a role that is expected to bring significant benefit to our constituency, given its status as a resort town. Comrade Meadows assured us that during Comrade McNeil's frequent travel, he will maintain substantial influence over the operations of our constituency. He emphasized that no outsider would be allowed to take over or manipulate our affairs. This arrangement was thoroughly discussed and agreed upon by both Comrade Meadows and Comrade McNeil. Additionally, Comrade Meadows highlighted Comrade McNeil's age and suggested that after one term, there would be an opportunity for him to run. Representing and serving the people of North Trelawney has long been a passion for him. Former MP Dr. Harris expressed his confidence in the capabilities of our local individuals to represent us, and he cautioned against outsiders benefiting from projects designated for our area. He emphasized that he holds no ill feelings toward Meadows McNeil, referring to him as a decent man, a friend, and someone he highly respects. Comrade Meadows appealed for our support, reaffirming his commitment to working closely with Comrade McNeil to secure victory for the PMP. The room was filled with attentive listeners, all seeming ready to support Comrade Meadows and Comrade McNeil. A meeting with the constituency executive is scheduled for Friday the 17th, that seemed to go on already, at the head office with the party leader. I believe the candidate will be presented to us at that time. Reading the above summary of the meeting, chaired by newly converted Comrade Meadows, prove that I had indicated in previous utterances about the North Trelawney constituency. The long-serving PMP in the constituency are acting dumb to be manipulated by the party and its operatives once again. Meadows has the gall to make the statement that because of Wickham age, he will only serve one term and he will get to fulfill his life dream to be MP. Therefore, by any means necessary, he wants to be MP, and to hell with other capable comrades in the parish. The false or suspicious argument that his candidate will be appointed Minister of Tourism is a slap in the face of those serving shadow capacity currently for the party is an insult to them. Why does he think he will be ever picked? And tell me, let me read that again. Why does he think he will be ever picked? And tell me our tourism market is not helping Jamaica, as 90% of its revenue are overseas. Jamaicans are left out of management, and the seasonal employment of our locals with the minimum wage is more or less than indentured servitude. This I want long something. I can't read off all of it. But let me tell you something. You see what happening in North Trelawney right now? I could look on it this way.
But it has been confirmed.
Confirmed.
Yes.
But I could look on it that way. You see, this Rigma, the only way to overlose, to only say things up, is if she decide to not run. But to overlook pretty set to win this seat again, because PMP not already around here. So, see? So to over.
I will say it with no apology.
Yeah, stay away there and do your work, because we just want the best representation right now. And if you are the best representation, that's it. Because around here so in a shambles right now. They're not ready, and they're not ready to deal with what they have to deal with. You could play a piece of music, and when we come back, we're going to talk to a special guest, an extra special guest, right?
Another war in the world cannot be justified. We're now discovering that someone's life. Is this the world for only bushes and prayers? We've come to realize their games are unfair. They're destroying the world, disturbing the peace. Oh, Jaja, help us now before it's too late. They're destroying the world, setting the day. Stop them before it's too late. How many more will suffer? How many must die? Mothers and children constantly they cry. So many lives gone down in vain. Can't you see the leaders are insane? They're destroying the world, disturbing the peace. Oh, Jaja, help us now before it's too late. Destroying the world, setting the day. Stop them before it's too late. Oh, God. Now the church is in so much turmoil. All kinds of homosexuals preach and walk the aisle. Isn't this the place where the Almighty?
Yes. Watch ya. Our big Joe that you know, Jola. Yours truly, Imara, alongside Lucian. A long time I know you. I never remember so. them tune there. But Julia have them tune there in the catalog. I Mara alongside Lucia. I know. You know, it mean world peace. They are destroying the world. I don't even know if you remember them tune there. World Affairs. That's it, name. I never remember my tune. One tune I don't remember. Lord God. World Affairs. Yes. Blessings and light to the people out there listening. And we also simulcasting on primal4k.com. And we say if people want to call in, just call in at 876-478-9144. 876-513-6668. Yes. And on WhatsApp, right? And our special guest is here. She's here for a while now, ready and waiting. I hope we can hear her. Good afternoon,
Testing.
Nehima
Testing, can you hear me?
Edwards. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me? Hello.
I am hearing you.
Okay, great, great. So I am
I'm
in the
hearing you. Are you
building.
hearing us?
Very clear. Yes, I can hear you.
We hear the breakup going on in it today now. You hear me clear? All right. We give thanks. It is a joy to have you here on the Community Buzz. Another time.
Yes. Thank you for that. I'm glad to be here
Are
again. Thank you.
you there?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me? I am here. I'm hearing
Yes,
everything.
I'm
you're
saying
saying.
it's a pleasure.
Yes, I said
Yeah,
thank you.
great.
Yes. It might be
Nehima
the delay.
Edwards. Yeah, tell us about yourself, your schooling, your upbringing, your parents, your we having a delay. I don't want the delay, to show us off, I really want us to flow. You know what I mean?
You want me to
I
call
want
in?
us to flow today. Although flow now flow the way how it's supposed to flow. Oh, your
I
song.
can.
Just tell me. Cause tell me. Yeah. How your sound? You good?
Okay, she wants to call. If you want to call, fine.
All right. Make we go back to the music and you call in Nehima because we don't really we want
Okay.
to flow easy. I don't like the delay. Yeah.
No problem.
Save us, God, my friend. Boy, Jah can save us, my friend. Another one in the world cannot be justified. We're now discovering that someone is life. Is this the world for only bushes and prayers? We've come to realize their games are unfair. They're destroying the world, disturbing the peace. Oh, Jaja, help us now before it's too late. They're destroying the world, setting the day. Stop it before it's too late. How many more will suffer? How many must die?
Yes. How many more must suffer? How many must die? And these are the words that we are asking. We see what is taking place in Palestine. People are dying. It is so serious. Nehima, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing greater now, hearing you clearer. Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Nehima, we're going to talk to you. We know you have, I know of you from Primal, and I know your skill there, right? And today we don't really want to go into Primal too much. We want to look on the other side of Nehima, the things that Nehima deal with from day to day, you know what I mean? And the things that she is doing to serve lives, to serve her community, you know what I mean? And just serve people who are going through difficult times. And it is not an easy job that you are doing. And I want to salute you, for taking up such a mammoth task as a young woman who could, go about, sit and deal with your family. You are brilliant enough to choose something else. I know that, but somehow you make the choice to do this kind of work. Before we go into it, just tell the people who Nehima Edwards is, your where you're born, mother, father, schooling, Just give us a synopsis, because we know maybe we don't have enough time for you to say everything about yourself, but educate
Sure,
us.
absolutely.
Yeah.
For having me again. It's a little bit hard to hear you, but I did hear most of what you were saying. So I'm hoping that I'm able to respond to all
Yes.
effectively.
Yeah.
But yes, I appreciate it. I appreciate this opportunity to share my other side. All of us are multifaceted people working on several things and several pieces of our, character and personality to do every facet of our life. So to start back, I guess I can do a screenshot from the beginning of my life. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, to, of course, my mom and dad. My dad ended up actually leaving, and I met him later in life. I was 17. I was at my Nana's house, and all of a sudden said, I want to meet my father. And she told me, now for the young people, young folks, they're not going to know what a phone book was. But back in the day, we had this phone. It was a phone book. It actually had people's numbers in it. It was like a thick yellow book. And I looked up my father's name, and the first, his name is Michael Bell. And the first Michael Bell in that book on that page happened to be him, which was crazy. And his wife picked up the phone and said, oh, she recited my birthday. She knew everything about me. And so that's kind of where my relationship started with my dad at age 17.
Wow.
Of course, my mom, you know her as DJ Didi. She was a school teacher, an elementary school teacher when I was born in the South End of Boston. And she, even then she was what people would call a radical. She was a Black Panther. She was a vocalist. She's a lot of things. I would be here forever to say, all about her, but she basically raised me on her own as a single mother. We moved to Connecticut when I was about 4. I remember going to preschool here. This is where pretty much I grew up, here in Connecticut. Preschool off to high school, which was a Catholic private high school. Still connected and affiliated with it, and then on to Virginia State University, where I studied English and mass communications and did many things in media that prepared me for pretty much what I do today. As far as my career, you can stop me whenever, but as far as my career today, it doesn't really have anything to do with English, although English is a great major that pretty much can help you segue into pretty much anything that you want to do. So luckily that worked out. But human services I've been in right now for about 13 years. I started with adults, actually, in addiction. I learned about addiction, became certified in treating addiction, helped treat a class, a program called PACT back in 2013. And the mission of that initiative was to bring in people who had dealt with addiction on their own and help them become counselors, because we know in the mental health field that most often it's peer-to-peer contact that helps the person really heal and get through whatever it is they have, whether it's a substance use disorder or a mental health disorder, or both of them, which is called a co-occurring disorder. We know that a peer is a very powerful piece of therapy, because they've been there, they've done it, they've seen it, and they've made it out, and they can help you as well. So anyway, I started with adults. I helped with that program. I also helped these individuals who applied find internships in the Connecticut area so that they could showcase what they learned in class on Saturdays.
Wow.
So they were finding, placements to work with people who suffered with addiction, and they were able to apply what they learned in class. So that was another part of my job. Then I moved on from that. That was a state job. I moved, the funding was cut, and you'll find that in mental health, unfortunately, in this country, we end up having lack of funding or fund cutting. It's gotten a little bit better in the last, I would say, 10 years, but lots of funding cuts for something that's very instrumental, which is people's mental health. And we know the background of what can happen when people do not address things that are happening in their mind.
Yeah.
You can just imagine the
Yeah.
school shootings, the
Yes.
road rage, you name it, right. So,
all right. Before, but want to talk to you a little deeper on that side. Hello?
we're reconnect.
All right. Want to
Yeah, we're
talk to
here.
you-
I was reconnecting.
Yeah, I want to talk.
Sorry, yes.
I want to talk to you
Of
about
course.
that, but let us look on care coordinator. Who is really a care
Sure.
coordinator? Educate us on
Sure.
that.
Absolutely. So that's when I transitioned from working with adults to working with children. There was a space in between there where I also counseled people with HIV and did testing for them as well. But skipping ahead to care coordination, what it is basically I'm a mental health professional for the largest behavioral health institution in the country, which is Carelon Behavioral Health. I am an intensive care coordinator, which basically uses a model that we call wraparound, which wraps literally the family around with resources and a network of providers. And it's up to us to link the family who's referred to us, usually by DCF, but it could be a clinician from a hospital, it could be a school, anywhere where there's children that are dealing with intensive mental health disorders, usually more than one diagnosis. So they come my way, and what I do is help the family work through what the child is experiencing. So whatever the diagnosis is, we talk about how they can display in the child, the behaviors that the child might exhibit, what to look for, how to get the child connected to a psychotherapist if that's what they need, or some other type of therapy. Could be equine therapy, which is, the use of horses in therapy. It can be art therapy, which of course we would know what that is just from saying it. So that's my job, is to go in and wrap the family in services, that not just throw services at them that I think, well, I'm just going to refer them to all of these things. I really need to know that they're going to work. So in order to do that, you have to establish a rapport with the family, get to know them, let them know that there is no judgment here, let them know that this could be anybody, let them know, number one, too, that it's not their fault, that their child is going through these changes. Sometimes I will say that it can be the parent's fault when it comes to fetal alcohol syndrome. That's actually perpetuating the problems. Of course, it happened there. Or sometimes a parent isn't able to protect their child from trauma in their early childhood that then turned into a mental health disorder. So again, parents might take the blame then on their own, but that's not my job to say, oh, this was your fault. It's how do we navigate it? How do we get the best course of treatment? And how do we have enough services in place that everybody doing their job strategically together can be one vision moving forward for the family? Because my job is to help the family see what their vision is, what their goal is, and then I come around to do a treatment plan that aligns those goals and see what outcomes we can actually meet. How can we meet this goal? How can we meet this deadline? So I'm talking to the school, for example, if a child has an array, let's say anxiety and depression in this country are the highest mental health challenges, illnesses in this country. So let's say if a child has anxiety and depression, well, they may not want to get out of bed. So they have school avoidance. They might, when they go to school, might not want to be in the cafeteria. They have social anxieties. They have all kinds of things. So we have to, so that impedes their ability to be educated. So my job is to say, okay, we need to have an individualized education plan for this student to meet his or her needs. Is that in place? School psychologist, hi, have you done the testing in order to allow this kid to show you what he or she is inhibiting so that we can address it? So again, it's literally talking to a lot of different people to get the job done for the family. And you have to have that trust, or the family won't tell you who they are. You have to listen, actively listen to the family so that they can tell you everything, so that I can actually have information to move with, because if they can't tell me, I won't know what to do.
Okay. I am looking, I tried to do a little research to find out who is really a care coordinator. And it says a care coordinator is a trained healthcare professional who helps to manage the patient condition and oversees the patient treatment plan. They monitor and coordinate treatment plans with patients in order to educate them about their illness and connect them with various medical professionals as needed. Now, I listen most of what you're saying, and you speak mainly of children.
Yes.
So a care coordinator mostly work with children. That's it.
So what you looked up is perfectly legitimate.
Yes.
So there's different types of care coordinators. What you
Okay.
were looking up are the ones who work typically in hospitals.
Okay.
And they do patient care advocacy.
Yes.
And they work with all types of patients. And for me, as a mental health one, I'm an intensive care coordinator working
Okay. So it's a
specifically
different,
with
intensive care.
correct.
Okay.
So correct. So with children who have a myriad of different diagnoses that require the intensive care coordination part of it. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And you mainly work with children.
Yes, I work with children and their families, but the child is the identified client, and the family, of course, comes with them as people who need education, support, guidance, leadership, resources, sometimes literally a person to cry on, to vent to.
Yes.
I might have a family where the legal guardian this just happened to me. The legal guardian did not want to talk to her therapist, so she called me and had me talk her through something. She was having a hard time, and it didn't even have anything to do with the intended child. It had to do with another one of her children who was older, but I'm still there. It's still part of my job, because if I can talk to her about a problem going on with another child, has nothing to do with, the kid that I work with, that can help her have the coping mechanisms or less stress to be able to deal with the problems at hand with the kid that's the intended child. So it all, works out. Yeah.
What's the work for mainly for a legal guardian, or you and the legal guardian work? What kind of communication?
Did you say how did that happen? Did you say how did that take place?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened in this particular family is the actual biological mother was deemed by DCF to not be fit. I won't go into why, but she was considered unfit to be a mother. And so they had to appoint a legal guardian, which happens to be the grandmother.
Okay. So we're learning of that term, legal guardian. So it is a case that it goes to what? Like a court system for somebody to decide, or a panel of people?
Yes, exactly. A court system appointed. That's correct. So DCF would have taken them to court, and then they would have appointed this person as the legal guardian. That way the child doesn't go into the foster care system.
DCF is what now? DCF
is the Department of Children and Families. They are a state funded agency that every state has them in this country. Some states have CPS, which is Child Protective Services. We happen to have the Department of Children and Families, and they are aimed toward keeping a child safe in the home.
Okay, great. The challenges that we were talking early on, today, in our pre-chat, and you spoke of some challenges pertaining to entering these homes and, to deal with conditions and situation, with how these people might react, and you administering to their care, educate us on some of the challenges that you face, as a care coordinator.
Sure. There could be a myriad of challenges depending on who you're talking to that day or who you're dealing with. Certain challenges just begin with trying to contact people on the team. So maybe it could be DCF, maybe it could be someone from another entity, and not having their feedback on something you need. You might need a release sign just so you can talk to the school, but the school doesn't get back. So there's those kind of programmatic issues where it's just human error or people not getting back to you when you need to, so that you can get something done, because you really need to every day align certain tasks that you want to actually get done so you can get closer to this family's goal and closer. I'm open with the family for 6 months, so closer to getting things done before I have to close with them in 6 months. So that's one part of the difficulty that can happen. Sometimes you have a child who has so many different diagnoses. You wonder if all of them are legitimate. Some, you know, just by your own research, that if they're so young, they shouldn't typically have certain diagnoses. And so that could be hard to navigate through that. And you're talking to psychiatrists that know what they've said, and you don't want to challenge them, but at the same time, you know what's really right as far as what you research and what you read and what you know, we have trainings all the time on these things. So no, I'm not going to step on your toes, but I still have to speak up for the child and advocate for the child. So that can be difficult. In terms of conditions, going into another person's house, they've already, you know, we're talking about families here who obviously everything is not going to be perfect in their lives. The reason I'm there is because things are broken and I'm there to help. So I wouldn't expect to go to people's houses and everything is perfect. Sometimes a house is actually immaculate and they are working, and whatever they're working through does not display in the house. And other times there are mental illnesses going on throughout the house with children and the parents, which makes the home uninhabitable and makes it very hard for me to come in and do the work, but I still have to do it. We have to have unconditional care, which is meeting the family exactly where they're at. It doesn't matter if there's 1,000 roaches around, doesn't matter. I've had, I remember like holding a meeting. We have child and family team meetings, and that's, those are what I schedule to get all of those providers that I mentioned. So school, psychologists, whoever's working with the kid, on board at this meeting, so that I could talk to them about what they're planning on doing in order to assist this family. I had scheduled one, this was years ago, at somebody's house. And as I'm speaking about the child to the psychologist, literally a mouse ran under the woman's table and I had to put my feet up. I'm scared. I am petrified of mice, petrified as if it was a lion. You might as well thought it was a lion, because that's how inside I reacted. But I kept my professionalism, and like I had my feet under the table, lifted up for an hour, lifted up. So those are just some of the things you have to do that you encounter. So you have mice. One day I went to a Muslim family, and the reason why I'm saying they were Muslim is there's a point behind it. They had bed bugs, and I won't even say who didn't tell me. One of the agencies did not tell me. The people who actually had me referred me to the family did not warn me that they had bed bugs. As somebody in my position, I know not to, when I go to anybody's home, sometimes I won't sit at all if I can get around it. If it looks like, it depends, because if you come in somebody's home and you don't sit, that might be a standoffish kind of a vibe. And they might say, well, who are you not to sit down? So you always have to feel it out. Sometimes I just, you know, I've been standing up. I've been sitting down all day, so it's good for me. You know, you come up with ways to ease somebody, but you know never to sit on anything that is porous in anyone's home. You will look for a chair that is like leather or any other something that has no fabric. So this particular household, there wasn't anything like that. There was just a sofa, and it was a long meeting, and I could tell it was kind of awkward for me to be standing the whole time. So I did sit on the edge of this woman's couch. And the fact that they had bed bugs, the person told me when I was leaving the house, oh, by the way, they have bed bugs. So the reason I said they're Muslim is because they have all of that cloth on them. And again, this isn't it actually could spread it more because they have fabric all over them. So I had to go home, get stark naked out in February. This was February. Have my kids bring me clothes. I'm in the garage naked. I had to throw everything away. I mean, these are certain things that we go through in this field. I've dealt with guns in the home. I've had a kid pull a gun out. I've had a shoe thrown at me. I've had to get a mother who was having some type of psychotic break and had to pull her out from underneath her coffee table. I've seen it all. I've done it all, but it doesn't scare me. You know, I've to the point where it's roaches and rats might scare me, but the people don't. I'm able to handle myself. I'm from the city. I've seen it all. Unfortunately. So, I mean, it's given me kind of a thicker skin, so to speak, I guess you could say. And I'm there to help the family. So I'm able to separate it. You know, I can come home and complain to my kids about what I saw, my significant other, my mother. But when I'm in the people's house, I'm there to help them, and all of that stuff goes out the window.
Oh, I could just I'm going to read something. Minister of Education and Youth. Teach your child that they should value and respect persons with physical and mental disability. Today is the day 27 Child Month daily tip. So we want to read this again. Teach your child that they should value, respect persons with physical and mental disabilities. Yeah, I mean, and this is May's Child Month. You know what I mean? We are talking here, you know, about, you know, the problem that children going through, and you as a mother, you know, after dealing with all of these things, you know.
I can't hear you that well.
You hearing me now?
Not really clear at all, but I could hear Julia a little bit clearer if she can just
I don't know
what you said, like kind
yeah, you hearing me better now?
Then I can yeah, for right now, yes.
All right, let me try right here. So you hearing me?
Yeah, better.
All
better,
right.
yes.
Yeah, so I'm here. So I'm saying, you know, as a mother, you have to face all of these things, you know, pertaining to, you know, going into these homes, you know, and come in contact with violence sometimes, come in contact with just unkept home, right? And you have to in turn go home, you know, to your children. Okay. Or you deal with this, you know what I mean? You just talk about stripping up yourself, and I was going there, you know, before you talk about that energy. Sometimes you go into this place and you pick up all kind of energy. What is the process you use to cleanse yourself when you go home, that you don't carry this kind of vibration into your home?
Wow, that's a great question. You know, we're trained to, and we are human though, so sometimes we can mess up, but we are trained to leave work at work.
Okay.
You know, it's okay to come, right. So it's okay to come home and complain, like I said, to my significant others. You know, without me ever saying names, I never say names. I'm never going to break HIPAA or anything like that. But I can share with him, you know, things that I went through, things that I saw, and that kind of helps me process things. You know, but as far as, you know, you do invest in these families because you are there to help, and it's a passion. You wouldn't do this work if you didn't want to help people. But I do leave it away. I turned my work phone off. I just started doing that because I actually wasn't before, and my supervisor yelled at me like, turn that phone off. So I do. And I leave work at work. And as far as the physical part of it, you know, my shoes come off at the door. That's a given. I don't have my clothes that I'm at someone's house and they don't touch anything. They go directly in the laundry. Nothing touches my bed. Nothing touches anything. I walk in the house. Before I touch anything, I'm washing my hands. But that's what I do when I come back in the house from anywhere. And that was before COVID. I don't bring germs in my house.
Okay.
So no. And I wouldn't want to transfer germs from one family. We see multiple families a day. I wouldn't want to. That's another reason why I don't like sitting, because I might go to somebody's house and then bring their germs to another person's house where I'm just there helping their kid, and all of a sudden there's a virus or something. So I have to be careful. Another way to deal with your own mental stress, because, you know, we experience something in this field called compassion fatigue. It's basically like a mental and physical state of exhaustion, which can result from helping people, which we like to do, but it can actually turn into a negative. So people who experience emotional pain and trauma can actually traumatize us, and it's called secondary trauma, because we take on what they are doing. So if I have to be careful, and so I do things like self-care, which for me, poetry all day, music, you know, an occasional glass of wine, exercise, a huge one, whatever I can do to filter my stress and become the best person I could be the following.
What about a kind of cleansing before you enter your home? Because it's energy, and you will pick up that kind of energy. What about a kind of cleansing? Idea. You know what I mean? You know that there's a time gone before is a practice, especially within the Yoruba community, you know I mean, there's always whether a basin of water or with some herbs at the front of the door, or whether with certain herbs, you could use basil or whatever, just to cleanse yourself, because you can carry energy on inside, and maybe because you're seasoning at the field, it don't affect you, but it can affect your child. It can affect somebody who is vulnerable, and pick up that kind of energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've and I should do it more often. I do cleanse the house with white sage. I'll burn that and go from room to room and say a positive intention. Yes,
Okay,
my mom
good.
taught me how to do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have it. That's one I will direct you. Somebody who's listening now, right, and interested, want to be, a care coordinator. What kind of training, would prepare somebody to get into that field? What are some of the discipline that they would have to study to be a care coordinator?
Sure. So what you would have to have at least a bachelor's degree in any field, in any subject matter. It doesn't have to be human services, because remember, I wasn't a human services person at all. I kind of stumbled into it, in 2013 and stayed. So they would have to have that. And then there's a lot of different trainings. You have your wraparound training, you have implicit bias training, you have lots of trainings that have to do with mental health, with substance use disorder, with sociology, psychology. We have pharmacology. We need to know like how different medications interact with the brain. Those things, even dosaging. Like I wouldn't prescribe anything to anybody. That's a psychiatrist's job. Not even psychologists can do that. Only psychiatrists can. They're also a medical doctor of mental health, and they can diagnose and prescribe. But I can refer to our resident psychiatrist and have him recommend medication for a specific disorder that a kid is dealing with. And in my mind, I'll take what he says, but I can do the research, or I might already know, what, they overuse that medication for ADHD. They're actually finding that another one works better. No, I don't pretend to know his job better than him. That's crazy. But in terms of what we do learn about how medicines contraindicate, how they change the brain, how little kids, my goodness, when you give a kid a certain cocktail. I had a kid who was on like 8 different drugs, and he was 7 years old. And the people at school were wondering why he's bugging out. He's over medicated, period. Period. If I was on all that medication, I would be. So per weight, per his brain constantly changing. A kid's brain at that age, absorbing these drugs all at one time. Can you imagine how that impacts a kid's ability to learn, to socialize? So you end up diagnosing this kid with something he doesn't even have, because he's exhibiting behaviors that are attributed to being over medicated. So that's when I'll put my hand up and say, "Excuse me, doctor," come on. So these are things that we learn just by doing this job. A lot of it is learning by doing. Learning, you learn, and then you apply. You make mistakes, and then you continue to push forward. So anybody who has a bachelor's degree and wants to work with children could definitely apply to be a care coordinator. And an intensive care coordinator is a little bit different, but either one, yes.
I am picking up something here. So you're saying that over medicating a child, it means that it trial and error with do. It is just trying out these drugs on a 7-year-old. Why this one don't work? So let me give him this one and see how it works. This one doesn't work. Let me give him this one. It's something like that, because we observe these things that you go to a doctor and maybe give you a particular drugs, and you say, "Boy, this drugs is having a kind of effect," and you say, "All right, try this one." The word "try."
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think I got.
Yeah. Is it a case like that you're talking, as a 7-year-old over medicated?
Yes, you're asking me basically. I'm trying to hear everything. So you're basically asking me, was he pretty much like a guinea pig? They tried one thing and it didn't work, and they tried another thing. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, that knocks. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely. And I've seen it all the time. I mean, when you have a child that's exhibiting multiple behaviors and there are other things that you are trying that aren't working, you know, talking to them isn't working, isolation isn't working, you know, their therapist isn't working. You put them in a facility for, you know, a partial hospitalization, which is like, it's kind of like they're not there. They're there for a small amount of time, like 2 weeks. They're overnight in the hospital so they can get tests and stuff like that. When they've had all of those things, and even at that part, when they have partial hospitalization, even then they succumb to doctors who prescribe something or actually look at their chart and say, okay, I see he has this, this, and that, but he also has this. So he might have another diagnosis right then and there that the parent learns about. So the more places that the kid goes, they tend to pick up another diagnosis followed by another pill. So yes, a doctor will say, they'll listen to the parent, they'll listen to the school, especially the school, because the schools are calling these parents off the wall. Hey, your kid is doing this. Hey, your kid is doing that. Some parents can't even work because they're constantly getting phone calls from the school. And when that happens, the parent is desperate. Hey, is there any other medication? This isn't working for my kid. A lot of times it hasn't been in the system long enough before they try another one. You know, it takes, I think, a month. There's a certain amount of days for each medication, and I'm not sure of all of those, you know, specifics, but it does take time. And a desperate parent wants something that works right away. And we know that that's not always the case. So sometimes it's doctors who will overprescribe just to honestly, I don't want to say shut the parent up, but, you know, within their means without doing harm, try something else to see if the parent can, if the kid's behaviors can alleviate a little bit, you know? So so those are those where a kid ends up having multiple medications that really usually make everything a lot worse.
Auntie Eleanor is saying here in Boston, there was a major change. They closed the mental hospitals and sent the patients to the street with a pocket full of pills, which they may or may not be taking. You hear that, Nahima? Are you hearing it?
I'm reading it for myself because I couldn't hear it all the way.
Okay.
Here in Boston, a major change. They closed the mental hospitals and sent patients to the street. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just read it.
Yes.
Again, she's really speaking to the lack of funding and the lack of priority in mental health that was happening. It's a shame that it's still happening like that there. But I remember when it happened here, because that's when I was out of a job. They literally cut the funding and I was out of my state position doing what I do because there was nobody to treat. They had shut the facilities down.
Yes.
But now in Connecticut, there are many more facilities that are able to meet the needs of the people here, whether it's children. We're actually growing. We have these acute, you know how you have, what do you call those little places when you're sick? Gosh, now I can't think of the place where urgent care centers.
Okay.
So they have urgent care centers here in the United States that will help someone who has a acute kind of medical need and keep them from having to go to the ER and wait there for hours sometimes. So it's kind of an in and out facility. Well, usually we also have mental health centers here that will treat your child acutely right there, kind of like an urgent care. And those are new as of last year. We have about 4 in this state. But Connecticut is on the cutting edge of mental health, I would say, in this country. I didn't think that Massachusetts was that far behind, but it's looking like Auntie Eleanor says that's what the case is. And can you imagine what she's saying?
Yeah.
Someone on the street with a handful of pills. So you're just looking for what? More crime, more violence. Some of these people being killed by police because they're having some kind of psychotic episode and thinks the police is like a demon or something. Who knows? I mean, we have to be on top of this. Is people's mental health, and anybody at any given time can have a break. You can have we're talking about our minds, you know, emotional, psychological, social well-being. That is what mental health is. And there are environmental and genetic factors that can make a break for anybody at any given point in time. So I wouldn't want to be the one that's on the street trying to figure out life. You know, we have to have more compassion and understand that it's illness. It's an illness.
Yes.
You know, it's not, oh, she crazy. Oh, they're crazy. It's an illness. People do not choose to exhibit these behaviors.
Wow. We'll take a break and come forward, Naima. We could just play a piece of music.
Okay.
It's 4 p.m. here in Jamaica, and it is Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music, and this is the Community Buzz. We are also smallcasting on primal4k.com. We say you can call in and send in a text at 478-9144. 876-51-6668. You can just text, you know what I mean? And if you have any question you want to ask, and if you have something that you want to just suggest, or if you are struggling with mental illness, you know, we can talk here too. Just come and make a talk, right? Blessings. We'll go soon forward.
Together we stand, brothers. Together we stand, sisters. And I said, the least that you done to my brothers, you do unto him. Together we stand, brothers. The man said, the least that you done to my sisters, you do unto him. Together we stand, brothers. Organize yourself tonight. Love, we need to save mankind. Can't you see that showing signs? One man want the world it seems, but it make no sense to me. In the nuclear wars and using strategies. Spreading germs like Pharisees. Oh, I wish this war would cease. Together we stand, brothers. Together we stand.
96.7 Shalom Radio. Your life, your music.
Together we stand, brothers. I said, the least that you done to my sisters, you do unto me.
Yes, the least that you done to our sisters, you do unto me, you know what I mean? So together we stand, brothers. Together we stand, sisters. Together we are standing up in this struggle, you know, dealing with mental illness, you know. And we have online Naima, you know, from primalmedia4k.com, you know, and we are talking about, you know, mental illness. We are talking about a care coordinator, you know, and a couple more we're going to, you know, go deeper into the one conversation. She's also an author, you know, of Chasing Forgiveness, Abortion, a Life Sentence. We are going to talk about a little of that. But Naima, you are there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, make us segue into mental health, you know. We touch bits and pieces of it, you know. And we realize that this is something that a lot of people, you know, can diagnose people why I suffer from mental illness. And as I said to you today, I look on mental illness as such a broad topic when we go and deal with that. Because there are so many things that affect people day in, day out, you know. What is mental illness? You know, explain that to me. What is really mental illness? Because maybe I suffer from some of that.
Repeat that last part. I hear where you're going, but I can't. Some things are muffled. Can you repeat the last part?
I am saying, what is mental illness? Because maybe
okay,
I am here suffering from mental illness. I don't know.
No. Well, it's, you know what, we can all have, it's more common than what one would think.
Yeah.
I would compare it to physical illness. We come into this world and we can have issues with our joints. We can have issues with our heart. We can have issues with our lungs. And so for some reason, those are acceptable. Those are acceptable illnesses. And for another reason, when we talk about what impacts your mind, what impacts your mood, what impacts your personality, your processing, your thinking, and your behavior, all of a sudden, it's like stigmatized. You're called crazy. You're dangerous. You're not understood. You're not listened to. You're not even trusted.
Yes.
So it's a whole different thing. And so what mental illness basically is, it's a range of different conditions that impact your mind. They affect your mood, your thinking process. They can even change your behavior, your personality, and your behavior as a result of that. So again, in this country, I said earlier that anxiety and depression are the most common. 970 million people worldwide, 970 million people suffer with anxiety or depression. So that means when you walk out of your door and you see 5 people, at least 2 of them has either one or the other. And just to break down what anxiety is, it's basically feelings of worry, feelings of fear. With everyday activities, it's hard to get through them because you can sometimes not even get out of bed. There's different levels to depression, of course. Some is situational. For example, situational depression is like, oh gosh, it's winter time and let's say you're in this country. In Jamaica, you would never have situational depression based on weather probably. But here, oh, it's cold, it's rainy, I can't get out. So situationally, I might be depressed. Seasonal depression is what most would call it.
Okay.
So there are varying degrees of it. But, it's when it really interferes in your everyday activities when it becomes a problem. Anxiety is that was anxiety. Depression is like a depressed mood. You pretty much lost the ability to like anything. Everything has no lux. Everything lacks luster. Nothing is special anymore. Things you used to like, you don't like anymore. You isolate yourself. You can barely get out of bed. You don't care about the things you used to care about. That's depression. And they usually they can sometimes go hand in hand. I wanted to talk very briefly, since we're kind of breaking down mental health.
Yes.
One thing that really attributes to people's mental health are called ACEs. It's ACES. It stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And what that is are an array of different experiences that we might encounter as a child that actually paint a picture of what what our outcomes might be in the future. Negative outcomes. They put us at a greater risk. So I think there's 10 different, what they call adverse childhood experiences. One, for example, being a child of divorce. One is being a child where there's intimate partner violence in the house, which is also called domestic violence. A child who's lost a parent. A child who has a parent that has a mental illness in the home. A child who has an incarcerated parent. A child who has a parent who has substance use disorder. A child who is sexually abused. A child who is physically abused. If a child grows up and has 6 of these, at least 6 of them or higher, they have a shorter lifespan, usually by 20 years. That's how much these things impact. Trauma is a huge deal. It actually changes your brain chemically. It will change your brain. So when a child goes through these experiences, it's almost guaranteed that they may have 1 or 2 different mental health issues in their lifetime. Yes.
Wow.
So I did want to talk about that. And people can do the test themselves. If they're brave enough, they can go to a couple of you just look up ACEs and you do the test on yourself and see what your score is. So that's a contributing factor to
No, one
mental
word.
health.
When I
And
hear that,
go ahead.
one word comes.
Yes.
One word comes to my mind.
Okay.
Hereditary.
Yes.
Is mental illness hereditary?
Is
Yeah.
Yes, it can be, depending on the mental illness. Some are genetic, like,
Yeah.
for example, schizophrenia.
Mhm.
Schizophrenia is known to be a genetic disorder, primarily, and it's found in adults when they typically turn. It's more prevalent with men,
Mhm.
but men and women are usually diagnosed with schizophrenia by the age of 20 or 21 years old.
Yeah.
Usually they won't be diagnosed before that.
Mhm.
And schizophrenia is like having false beliefs, delusions, hallucinations, paranoid thoughts and behaviors, hearing voices,
Mhm.
psychosis, all of those things.
Mhm.
And some people, if it's not genetic, what can happen is they can have chemically induced psychosis, which
Mhm.
is someone who, let's say they're out at a party and they try some mushrooms or they try some type of drug they've never tried before, and it
Mhm.
adversely affects the brain. They
Yeah.
can have chemically induced psychosis and think, oh, they can fly and jump off friggin' bridge or whatever.
Mhm.
It's bad. So that's chemically induced. That didn't mean they had schizophrenia,
Mhm.
but chemically induced psychosis. Yeah.
Mhm. Whoa.
Mhm.
And you say adverse childhood experiences. See, and
Yes.
I am looking on that deep. Because
Cool. Mhm.
a child who suffer all of these abuses and experience all of
Mhm.
these things, right? And never go through the whole process of healing to become well, but that child
Mhm.
end up having children, more than one, right? And
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
pass on that kind of energy, whether through DNA or something, but it affect, you realize a whole family line have that kind of behavior, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying, you're
Mhm.
spot on. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking, and hope you could elaborate on that a little more, because we realize
Mhm.
that there's a lot of things that are happening to us here, pertaining to
Mhm.
even
Mhm.
crime and violence and how people behave.
Mhm.
A particular family, you realize the family involved in some criminal activity, and it's just a bloodline of family from one to the other, you realize some sexual disorder with a kind of family, and it continues throughout the entire family, so
Yes.
I am just looking
Yes.
on how deep this thing is, when people talk about mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You make excellent points. And what you're describing is what's happening around the world when people are unable to change their mindset to understand and acknowledge that there's mental health disorders in their home with their child or with their mother, their grandmother. Because of the stigma attached to mental health, a lot of people will pretend it's not there. And so if you do that, you can't break the cycle. So it becomes transgenerational trauma.
Yeah.
Correct. So what happened with grandma, if she was unfortunately, say, sexually abused, we were talking about this on The Matrix last week. If grandmother experienced sexual abuse as a child, right? And no one helped her deal with it. No one sought to give her therapy. No one had her talk. And whatever therapy was, it doesn't mean it had to be clinical. It could have been a pastor at church to talk to. It could have been someone, anybody to talk to. If she felt like her voice wasn't heard, then we're talking about that hurt turning into anger. And that anger becomes so severe, it can actually impact the body with toxic stress and allow real illnesses to occur. And it allows the mind to fragment. It can. It doesn't happen to everybody. But when your mind fragments, you can't feel joy in anything because you're hurt by these traumatic experiences that you never healed. When you have a child yourself, you don't have a pot to give from. You don't have the love, and it doesn't mean you don't love your child. Of course you can, or you do, even if you've experienced abuse. But if you feel like you have not been able to heal past hurt, there's no way to keep it from blocking the love that you really desperately want to give, what you didn't have, because you didn't have it. So how do you have to give it? It's like the oxygen mask thing. I have to put it on myself before I help someone else. So this woman never got help. And she's already normalized in her mind, because that's another thing we do. When our minds fragment, we decide, in order to be able to cope with what's the damage done. Well, it's all right. I got through it. I'm good. I'm alive. You know, that's a survival tactic. We have to survive. So we got to tell ourselves things so that it makes it okay. Because if we don't, my goodness, to wake up with that pain every day right there on the brim. So we have to lie to ourselves sometimes and say, it's okay. I got through it, man. I didn't need no help. You know, whatever. So when you do that, you're taking away the help that your child needs. You're taking away your ability to see the signs in your child when she's sexually abused or he's sexually abused. Because you have built that wall up to protect yourself. So now you can no longer protect your offspring. And then again, the cycle continues, the cycle of hurt, the cycle of pain, all because of that initial trauma that was not addressed and healed.
Wow.
So that's exactly what you're talking about. Yes. And when I don't care about anything, so if I'm grandma and I have my children, and my children did not feel every drop of my love, you know, hearing that they are trying to instill confidence, all of those values that really help a kid determine what's right and wrong even better. And for a child to not want to disappoint their parents, those kids are more likely to say, why, she doesn't really love me. I need to find it elsewhere. So that's when they're outside getting with gangs. That's when they're outside looking for a baby's father. That's when they're outside doing things they shouldn't be doing. And they don't care, because nobody's invested the time in them to say, hey, I care enough about you to not ruin your life. Everything becomes normalized and they just follow in the footsteps of what they know. And so violence is like, not a big deal.
This is it pop up in while you're talking, it just come up to me. History is a part of your study. You study history to deal with as to become a mental health practitioner. You study history as well, don't?
You said this history of mental health?
No, I'm saying, do you study history, you know, to understand this whole thing? Because I'm looking when you said when you mentioned transgenerational trauma a while ago, you know, it start to reflect, you know, and know how much of that we have been through, especially you and others who grew up in I'm going to use it in this way, apartheid, because me believe in the 1950s coming up to the 60s, you know, before that, America was a kind of apartheid state, you know, the whole segregation and all of these things. Those trauma that, you know, that your grandfather and your maybe your mother suffered, because since she was a part of the Black Panther and what is a part of a radical movement now to fight off certain things. What are you as a mental care practitioner right now? Are you picking up that some of these things is affecting this generation and it's coming from way back there?
Say that last sentence again about this generation.
I'm asking you, do you pick up, you know, any historical evidence that that affect that generation way beyond, and it is now affecting this present generation?
Right. You know, yes. And I would think, you know, even historically, remember, we don't have to go back a long time. History is even yesterday, you know? So I think about even COVID. COVID was 4 years ago. That's having an adverse reaction on these kids. They missed, you know, a year and a half of socialization. And the impact of that is going to carry them into their 30s. It's going to hurt their ability to find employment. These are things that I'm not making up. It's things that I know just by learning and doing trainings because we have to know the mental health impact of certain things in order to be able to treat people. So I know, for example, the kids that were under the age of 10, I mean, even, well, specifically under the age of 10, but even the ones after that who missed their prom, missed their high school graduation, those things are never, they're always going to impact those children, always. And so the kids who were learning at those building blocks of socialization in school, kindergarten, pre-K, first grade, what we call it here in this country, who were at home, usually with parents who were distraught, who couldn't work sometimes, or who had to work with their child around, which impacted their ability to get their work done, more stress in the home. You're talking about women and men who didn't have the opportunity to leave the home anymore. So you're locked in with maybe, yes, the person you love, but you're getting on each other's nerves. There's lots of different things that you're impacted by in one house, and you're trying to stay safe and not die. You know, that impacted the entire world, and people are still dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder from that, from a mild degree to a very, you know, harsh degree of post-traumatic stress. So that's just one historical factor that's impacting kids. I'm working with, out of maybe, I can't count them all now, but there are multiple children who right now will not go to school, ranging from age right now, maybe about 9 to age 16, who won't get up and go to school. They won't. And whatever we've tried doesn't work. I'm not going to go to the kid's house and pull them up out of the bed. I cannot do that. There's another agency who can do that, but that only works to an extent. You know, it's actually changing the culture in the household to say, grandma, mom, dad, this is still your house. Your child was impacted by the anxiety surrounded, you know, about COVID, but what about their education? It's up to you, because the principal can't come in your house. I can't come in, you know. So it's about changing the mindset of the family to set the foundation of boundaries. A lot of parents forget about boundaries, that they are still the parent and they should still have to assert their level of responsibility and wisdom to take care of their child in the right way. The child is not going to be able to make the right choices for them. So they say, oh, I don't want to go to school. A parent shouldn't say, all right, that's okay. I mean, unless it's one little day here, that's different. So historically, when you're talking about the historical impact, COVID is a historical impact. Slavery, we still carry the mental wounds from that, as in general, transgenerational trauma. I can't say the word
transgenerational trauma.
Thank you, trauma.
Yeah.
It really seeps into the person. Even my mom, you know, I'll mention her, like you talked about her being a Black Panther, and she grew up in a time in this country where where the civil rights movement was just hot, and you know, she lived through the bus boycotts and having stuff thrown at her bus and all that stuff and having to be, but you know, all of that she lived through. So when it was time to raise me, I heard her talk about, I won't say too much here, but she had an internalized hatred for not all white people, but certain areas in Boston where she couldn't walk in, you know, and where her father could not walk in. And that hurt her, and she still has a different idea about race than I do. Why? Because that stuff did not impact me. I didn't grow up with those things that she did.
You know, you see, we have to look on these things serious, you know, and this is a question. You deal with you're in an environment, and sometimes this environment can become very challenging, violent, or you deal with you enter somewhere and this person just decides say them are go on bad today. You do any kind of martial art or any kind of training for, for protect yourself from any such attack? Or what kind of preparation? You know, because I have said people who work in this field are supposed to have some kind of self-defense mechanism to secure themselves. What kind of security mechanism you have to protect yourself working in this environment?
Unfortunately, we don't have anything to protect ourselves. We do not have any type of martial arts training. We don't have anything. I wish we did, but you know what? Even if we had it,
Yeah.
I mean, none of these. I'm gonna just keep it real with you. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you.
Yeah.
If I saw any of this as a professional,
Yeah.
I cannot put my hands, and I wouldn't put my hands on anybody, adult children. I would have to leave the situation. So that's what
Okay.
I would do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put my hands on anybody to defend myself. And what I would do after, well, so, you know, I've been there in a position where, but I was just going to say really quick, they don't want to see me in the street as a non-professional. That's a whole different ball game. Don't meet me in the street as a non-professional. But while I'm a professional in your home, you know, I'm going to adhere to the law, and I'm going to, so a child, for example, a child who was suffering with autism, and you know what, with kids, it's a whole different ballgame. I know that they are suffering with things. So I don't take any of those, even if they put me in harm's way. I'm not going to blame the child. I'm not going to ostracize. I'm still going to come and work the next day. They can call me all kinds of stuff. Like I said, there was a kid dealing with autism, and autism is a neurological disorder that has different levels. There's 5 different 5 different spots on the spectrum. That's why it's a spectrum disorder.
Yeah.
And so it deals with, you know, it impedes your social interaction. It impedes your way to communicate. And sometimes these kids use bad behaviors in order to communicate their unmet needs. So I was at this one family's house, and it was a 10-year-old boy who was bigger than me. And he didn't like, I'm not even sure what it was. It wasn't anything that I said, but he took my ankles and proceeded to pull me out of the chair. And I couldn't do anything about it but slide on out of the chair and then get up. The mother was dealing with her own mental health and substance use disorder. So she basically just laughed. I didn't expect anything from her. Because she was in her own place. But so we deal with these factors, but I wasn't, and I didn't leave the house actually. I could have, but I didn't. I didn't feel threatened. I think when everybody has a different level of tolerance and a different level of fear. I happen to be one person who's not fearful, who is able to feel like they can protect themselves at all costs at any time. So, you know, I would leave the situation if it came to that. Like, you know, if I come to somebody's house, and in the living room, there's all these dudes in there smoking, probably not the safest environment for me. So if that mom or dad can't have us have a private situation where we can talk, then I'll leave.
Yeah.
I have left a situation like that, not because I was scared, but because I was following the protocol for my job so that nothing happened to me. And then I would be blamed because, oh, you should have left, you know, stuff like that. I think you just keep your wits about you. You make sure your back isn't to the door. So that people pop up in the house, you don't know who they are, and all of a sudden there's a gun or something like that. When you go into somebody's house, if they're using substances and you know they're using substances, don't stay, because that can impact their thinking, and they might do something they wouldn't normally do when they're in their right state of mind. And then it's up to me to dial the care line. So what I would do is report that. I'm a mandated reporter, which means anything in a house that might endanger a child, I have to report it. So I would basically make a call to the care line and say, hey, these people were in the house, someone had a gun, someone had, you know, drugs or something like that. And I would make the report, and then I would leave and call my supervisor.
Yes.
But those are some of the things that you can do to protect yourself. They're also implementing something new that I think is way extra and over the top, but there are a lot of people in my field that can't hold their own when they go to certain neighborhoods. And I'll just put it out there. If they go into what they would call a ghetto, or what they would call an underprivileged area anywhere in Connecticut, they would so-called be scared as if the people are going to rob them, shoot them. And that's not all. You can get shot. I'm scared to go sometimes to the suburbs where they have Trump signs out. I don't know what they're going to do. But in my own neighborhood with my own people, I am not scared. I'd probably more be scared out in the rural area, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
For those people who don't want to go out into those areas, they've been complaining, and therefore they have a new device that we will have to wear when we go out now. That's so extra. That basically says where I am. Oh, I'm safe. I have to clock in. It's just so extra. And what it's going to do is take away from the work, because instead of me thinking, okay, I'm at this house, I'm going to work on this, and that, I have to be worried about turning on this stupid device just so somebody could see, oh, I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's in order to help some people. I wish it could have just been a voluntary thing, like, oh, if I want that, I can take it. But that's one way, like you're saying, how do they keep you safe? That is a way in which they believe that they are keeping us safe. So I have to go with it.
Maybe we have to go, maybe it's another discussion around this. But you said something, and the second time I said it, I didn't say anything about it when they said it to me today when we were talking, you know. You talk about Trump signs. Is it a thing? No, is it a thing that, you know, because I'm hear it again and it pop up and me have to think about it, that wherever you see people stand up with Trump sign, is danger for black people? That's what you're saying?
Yes, it can be, because of what I'm not going to say it always is. I won't say that every single time, you know, that a person, because there could be Black people with Trump signs as well. There could be all kinds of races who follow Trump.
Yeah.
However, if you are going to endorse a man who said it himself, it's not like hearsay, who said that he wants brown people to leave the country, immigrants to leave the country, he wants to be able to shoot down people and get away with it. Well, hey, he's told me I'm like gutter trash to him because of my race.
Yeah.
And definitely because I'm a woman. I mean, so I got all of the things that mark me as somebody he would get rid of. So no, if you follow that man's principles, I might not want to walk past your yard, because you might feel a certain way about me. You might say, oh, I feel unsafe because I see this Black woman with a notebook coming out of her car. I feel unsafe, and they might try to shoot me.
But Naima, this is a premise that people can stand up on, because if this is something that is causing anxiety, not true, which is a part of mental illness.
There you go. You tied it right back into it.
This is very dangerous. That you have somebody who is going up for president, you know, where is all principle and ideology is promoting a kind of, you know, anxiety amongst a group of people. That can't be a good thing for a country. You know what I mean? Oh, that
absolutely.
Wow. You know what? Make we load that for now, because it will carry down another line. When we're going to play a piece of music, and we'll come back in the next half hour. We just want to talk about you as an author. You know what I mean? Chasing forgiveness.
Absolutely.
And we want to hear. Good.
Sure.
All right.
Rough life, you know. Hard on this battlefield, we cannot give in. I say we keep on fighting. Rough on this battlefield, we cannot give in. I say we keep on going. Hold on this battlefield, we cannot give in. I say we keep on fighting. Hot on this battlefield, we cannot give in. I say we keep on going. Heart and soul, body and mind, we gotta move along, yeah. Invasion with guns and bombs, we're still loading strong, yeah. Unity is needed for our liberation. Perseverance and faith, this battle is already won. Hard on this battlefield, we cannot give in. We got to keep on fighting. Rough on this battlefield, we cannot give in. I say we keep on going. Hold on this battlefield, we cannot give in. We gotta keep on fighting. Hot on this battlefield, we cannot give in.
Yes. That is yours truly, the battlefield. You know, Aymara, we're cold on this battlefield. We cannot give in. The time is 4:32 p.m. You're on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. And we're also smallcasting on primal4k.com. And we're talking to Naima Edwards, you know. certified care coordinator and the mental health worker. And we are going into, and she's also an author of the book called Chasing Forgiveness, and another book called Abortion, a Life Sentence, right? Nehima, talk to us as an author now, you know what I mean? Because this sounds very deep, you know? Chasing forgiveness. Talk to us about that.
Yes. This is something near and dear to me. Chasing forgiveness is literally that, because I was chasing forgiveness for a long time, and maybe might always do that to an extent. About how this book was birthed. So this came in 2013. I was just cleaning up some things in the basement and came across this book of poetry that was about aborting a baby, and that person who aborted her first baby was me. I had gone to college, just like we all did, and many people end up getting pregnant there. Some people keep their children and some people don't. And so what happened, because they're scared that they won't be able to finish their education. So that's what happened to me. It happened to be the father of my other children, my 4 children. We had a slip up, you can say, and I ended up pregnant my junior year of college. And I called my mom and I told her that I was pregnant, and she said the first thing out of her mouth, actually after I'm so sorry. The second thing out of her mouth was, I think you should get an abortion. And when she said that, it really sat with me. So she didn't tell me to get one, but here I have my mother telling me what she thinks, and her words weighed a lot, especially then for a 20-year-old, I think I was, who didn't have the tools, the knowledge, the wisdom, anything, was scared out of her mind, and had always wanted to be a mother since she was 8. So I was very, very conflicted.
Yes, what break up a little.
Go ahead.
What is it, 20-year-old? 20?
Say it again?
At age
You
20?
said how old was I?
20, you said?
Yes. Hold on a minute. Let me do the math really quick. Yes, I was 20. I was 20.
Well, you're a big woman, man.
Yeah, I was a junior in high school. I mean, college. I was a junior in college.
Whoa.
So I had one more go. Did you want to say something else?
No. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I had a year left in school, and my mom did not think I was going to be able to have a baby and graduate college, which probably was the case. You know, I won't know because I didn't make the choice to keep the child, so I'll never know. But I know that when I got pregnant with my daughter years later, the amount of work that I put into being a mother, the amount of research, how to take care of my body, where the best schools were, what medicine I could take and what I couldn't take. You know, every day was about researching how to be the best beacon for this child growing in me. I don't know if I would have been able to do that when I was impacted with school and papers and the radio station and all of those things I was doing. So I don't know, but I'll never know because I decided, you know, I made that choice. So like I said, so she, you know, hung up the phone. She was not making my choice for me, but she was influential in what would be the right decision, and talk to, of course, my boyfriend at the time, which is the father of my other children, and you know, talk to him about it, and we made the decision together. And about 6 weeks later, I did it. So that was May of that year. So I came home for the summer, and when I went back to school for my senior year, every single night.
Yeah, you're there.
It says reconnecting. I'm going to stop.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. I lost connection for a minute. So every night, every single night without fail, I cried and cried and cried. I was grieving the loss of a child that I was responsible of taking away. And it had impacted me to the point where I was writing every single night, and sometimes in class, you know, so all of those writings of me wishing that I had kept my unborn child, wondering what he or she would have looked like, what they have grown up to be, the fact that I took away a life even though I wanted to be a mother. You know, I was very hard on myself. All of those things came out in writings, which became a beautiful kind of tribute to the loss and a tribute to myself as a young 20-year-old who was conflicted and really felt like she had no other choice. And I thought, you know, this could help other women if I am brave enough to be transparent enough and face whatever people might throw at me, judgment, you know, whatever that they feel. I was willing to do that to help women get through the self-induced, I call it self-induced trauma that they inflicted upon themselves, because no one told them to do it. Well, we do have women who were told, so I'm not talking about them. They were told by their parents, hey, you're getting an abortion. And that comes with a whole nother set of trauma. But for those who made the decision themselves, like me, I wanted to, and everybody, not just those people, in general, I wanted to say, alleviate yourself from the shame. You know, 4 out of every 10 women have or will have one abortion at least in their lifetime. And I can guarantee you that many of those women are not rushing to the abortion clinic to like get it done and have a party. They are going through a lot of mental stress. They're trying to think about their unborn child's future, their future, how they can handle it. It's a decision that has so many different factors. And so I wrote the book. I published it in 2013 and started utilizing the book in bibliotherapy for women who had been through it. So I was connecting with women, usually much older than me, who had what they call backdoor abortions back in the 70s and the 60s when it wasn't as, well, now we're going back there that way in this country, not being able to do what we want with our bodies. But back then, when they couldn't get somebody to do an abortion on them, they would have somebody do it for them. You know, like, I don't even want to say what they were using because it's so hard. But, and so a lot of those women would come up to me and thank me and put their arms around me. You know, I would do like hour-long talks. I did it at Yale. I did it at a couple of other college campuses. Yes. And over here. And they would just pay me to talk about my own story. So it was just like great to connect with people, have the book. I marketed it at different bookstores here and just spread the word that, you know, you can alleviate your own shame. You can forgive yourself, continue to chase forgiveness until you finally reach it, until you finally catch it. And just, you know, say a prayer for your, whatever it is that you need to do for your unborn seed, you know, do it so that it makes you feel better. You're still a woman, you're still a person, and your mistakes are never a definition of who you are. You just grow from them and you live and learn to deal with it.
It's the first me really know about this book. You understand? And and hearing you saying this now, that you did talk at Yale universities, you know, university and other campuses. Why you doing take it worldwide? You know, maybe you could come here to Jamaica, because I believe all this abortion thing is like stigmatized negatively here in Jamaica. You know, people, you know, look down upon people who go through that, and it happened in various ways. Our culture is so, there's a kind of diverse, you know, diversity in our culture pertaining to many women in Jamaica would have really have, they don't have a outright man, maybe them there with somebody else, man or somebody husband, and when that pop up, the husband might say, boy, you know, say you can't bring that child, you know, you have to go get rid of it because you're going to mash up my life. And the woman may be passionate and really want to carry them child, and it creates so many trauma, not just with the two people were involved, but sometimes the child end up come here when I suffer abortion, but might as well, you know. I was watching I was watching an artist recently, you know, who his mother is alive, his father is alive. Are you there? His mother is alive. Yeah, this is Fit FM 96.7 Your Life, Your Music. And we're talking to Naheem Edwards. You know what I mean? We're talking about her book, Chasing Forgiveness, Abortion, a Life Sentence. Is she there? Or is she? All right, you're there.
Yes, I'm here.
All
You
right,
got
cool.
out for a minute, but we're
Yeah,
back.
all right.
Yes.
So I was telling you about a young man who his mother is alive, but him talk to him about him never see mother. Mother don't want to have anything to do with him. And this man is maybe about 40 years old now, you know, and still never see mother. Even though him talk to him mother, him auntie them know him mother, and the mother does not have nothing to do with it, you know. So we are looking at that kind of trauma. To me, that is a kind of abortion, you know.
Can you? I couldn't hear everything.
Let me see. Let me try again. You're hearing me clearly now?
I just want to make sure I get the main points.
Yeah, I am saying.
Did you say to repeat why the man does not like to talk to? What is it that he experienced?
He's experiencing knowing that his mother is alive, but neither mother.
Knowing that his mom is alive.
Yeah, but his mother not dealing with him, and this man is about 40 years old now, or more.
And his mother didn't do what? His mother chose not to raise him.
Not to do anything that to involve in his life.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Yes. I got you now.
So I am
you're
saying
that's a kind of abortion. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I completely agree, because if you are going to this is that if you are going to be if you choose, in my opinion, to bring a child into this world,
yes,
it is your full responsibility above anything else to create an environment and care and love for this child, to make sure that they have all of the essentials to grow up into a healthy, contributing member of society. And that's everything. We're talking about education. We're talking about an education that starts with you, not in school. Not in school. We're talking about, do they know their ABCs, their colors, their how to count to 20, 30, 50 before they go to kindergarten? Those building blocks, teaching them about their family, their history, exposing them to music, to art, museums, all of that stuff before they go to school. A comprehensive education that starts in the home, that starts to allow the child to know, oh, wow, I'm special. Oh, look at me. I know this. Oh, I know, I want to do that. You know, letting them actually search their mind to see that they can be like that astronaut, or like that engineer, or like that doctor, that teacher, whoever it is. You know, if you don't have the time, the capability, the mental capacity, the money, whatever it is that you think, if you do not have the child. So I get it. This man is in this world. You said he's 40 years old. And he was never looked after by his mother.
Never.
That tells me a lot.
Yeah.
What is his relationship like with women? Does he trust women at all? Probably not. He probably can never have a healthy relationship with a woman. And if he does, if he is lucky enough to do that, has the capacity to do that, then it makes it even harder, because it's like, wow, here I am with this woman and we've created a child, and look at how beautiful my girlfriend and my wife is, loving our child. Why wasn't I valued in that way? He's 40, but he's like a child. When it comes to what he missed with his mother. You never grow out of that. You will be 80 years old. If you didn't get the love from your mother, it's going to feel like it was yesterday and you were 2 years old, or 3 years old. You don't ever get old enough to not crave the love and attention from your parents, both parents, not just your mother. So I would say, dare me to say this, but I would say yes. In a case like that, I would have rather just either aborted the baby or given up for adoption, rather than have a kid that you're just going to traumatize when they're born.
Ooh,
sorry. I'd rather have the soul go back to heaven where they're cared for. And all these people who say, oh, don't get abortions. Hello. Are you going to raise the kid? No. So be quiet. You're not going to raise that person's kid. Okay.
I am just looking, why I mentioned that, you know, is and you talk about the talks that you did in university and you know, I am saying,
Yeah.
me see a space for you in this world. I am looking on you touring the world with this book. You know what I mean? Coming here in the Caribbean, whether to Jamaica, Barbados, you know,
Yes. Yes. I would love to. I would love to branch out and do that. The book has kind of been a little bit on hiatus. There was some problems with the book cover. I couldn't use that actual cover that's on there now. So there's some like logistical things that have to be done, and then I can start marketing the book again.
Yeah.
You know how you kind of put things on the back shelf in your life to take care of other things. So that thing's been on the back shelf for maybe the last 5 years or so, but I was doing active talks, discussions, lectures about it for a good 5 years in a row, and then it kind of just with the cover of the book is kind of what put it into motion as far as the ownership aspect of it, because that was not my cover.
Okay.
That I had paid for somebody to do that. So yeah, I mean, I think what I want to do is republish it. I've made many more connections in publishing since then. Is to republish it, rebrand it, and most definitely market it to the Caribbean and to Africa and other places where women are impacted, and do those talks, whether virtually or in person. Absolutely, I would be willing to do that. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I see where you can, you know, make a great impact on the lives of women, who are really going through this kind of psychological trauma. You know what I mean? Because there are many, and not just women, but you know, maybe a person like that young man that I'm talking about, you know, maybe other people who is suffering, you know, or suffering, you know, through that kind of disconnect, you know, with family, with mother, with father, you know, and some people who maybe you did that abortion, but you end up having 4 other children. But what about that woman who did an abortion and never have another child? You know what I mean? I know, said, you know, the only hope of having a child, I made the worst mistake in my life. I want a child and can't have a child because of that trauma.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. I mean, the impacts are great. They're the impacts of that trauma. Like you said, you know, a parent goes on to have another child and wishes that she had the one that she had aborted, or now maybe the mother, because of the type of abortion that she had, is no longer fertile and can't have any more. What kind of psychological trauma does that do? I can't even imagine, you know. And that was a fear of mine. Here I am giving away a child, you know, laying there on a table about to give away something that I wanted to keep, something that I felt I was blessed to have. What if I had not been able to get pregnant again? I don't know how that would have impacted my life.
Yeah.
You know, I was blessed to be able to go on and have 4 more kids. Yeah.
Well, Nima, it's
but we live and we learn.
Yeah.
You know, we utilize these lessons to make us better people and to allow us to help share the experiences with others. It's therapy for me to do that. It's therapeutic for them. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah. I am telling you, let me say this to you, you know, and when I say this to you, I allow you to just wrap up and, you know, just extend.
Can you repeat? Sorry.
I am going to I'm just saying this to you, you know, that you are doing an extraordinary job, you know, the kind of work that you are doing, you know, is really an extraordinary work. And I want to big you up and because let me ask you this question pertaining to your spirituality, because to deal with mental illness, you must have to have some kind of unconditional love, you know, just, you know. Yeah. What is your spiritual groundings to deal with this kind of work?
That's a great question. First of all, thank you for your compliments and such. I really appreciate them and hold them close.
Yeah.
Spiritually, you know what keeps me grounded, honestly, are my ancestors, the people who knew me. And I don't mean my African ancestors. I mean my real, like my not that they're not real, but my grandparents.
Yes.
People that I've lost in my life that that knew me very well who did not actually get to know me as an adult, who I look for guidance. You know, my grandfather passed when I was only 12. My grandmother passed, and she was like my best friend, like the best person in the entire world. And I had, how was I? I was about 22 or 23 when she passed away. So I was just embarking on womanhood and motherhood, but she missed out on so much, her and my grandfather. And so I look to them for a lot of my spiritual grounding. I look to the people that I've lost, and I think that's where I get a lot of that from. And then I know that there is a higher power. I'm not sure what it is, who it is, how significant or where. I don't know that, but I just know that there's something keeping me safe every day. There's something that is helping me get through hard times, hard moments. You know, there's something that's helping me have those difficult conversations with people that I need to have. There's something that's helping direct my life in that way, most definitely. I can't really tell you exactly what it is. I'm still on that journey, but I know it's something, you know, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, understanding the nothingness and know that nothingness is everything is the greatest vibration.
Yes.
Yes. See?
Absolutely. I agree.
And I am so happy that you allowed us, you know, this 2 hours, literally 2 hours out of your time, you know, your busy schedule, because we know you're.
No problem.
Yeah,
no problem. I'm so happy to do that.
Yes. And
Thank you
just we can make you left and tell people a little bit about what is going to happen later on Primal and the program, you know, because, you know, just for the last couple of minutes, just big up the Primal family and just tell the people Primal Poetic.
Okay. Yes, I know you need to come back. Thank you again. Thank you both for having me on your beautiful dynamic show, The Community Buzz, every Monday right here, simulcasting on Primal Media, primal4k.com. And a wonderful opportunity to learn and grow with all of you guys today listening. I appreciate you being here. After me, okay, for your Memorial Day celebrations, at least in this country, if you're still having cookouts, we have DJ Jimmy Dre, a new DJ that we've added to our roster, who's going to play for you right now at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. And then after him at 8:30, I will be back with Primally Poetic. The poets and I are going to choose a poet of our choosing, an author of our choosing, and read their work and analyze their work. And then we have another thing special that's planned based on the girls who we were talking about on The Matrix last week with Regina. The girls in St. Thomas, Jamaica, who have experienced sexual abuse. We're going to share some poetry that's dedicated to them as well, and continue the initiative to have drop-off locations in Jamaica around St. Thomas area, area for these items that these girls need. Okay, so that's what's going on, and thank you in advance for all of your help and your assistance.
Right. And I promise to make some connection pertaining to those drop-off maybe in St. Thomas. Yes, I'm looking forward to make the connection that, you know, and we give thanks to the great work that you and your team doing, you know, and we are a community, and this is the Community Buzz, and we'll continue to do great work, you know, to impact the lives of people, not just here in Jamaica, but globally. As we say, people are people, you know what I mean? In our own path, people is just people, and we have to deal with the lives of each. When I see you, I see me, you know, and when I look at you, I see God, and when you see me, you're supposed to see the God in me as well.
Wow.
If we can see life this way, then it is complete, nothing more.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, Nehima. I know we talk again. Yes, this has been the Community Buzz and Fit FM 96.7. We are so smallcasting on primal4k.com. And we give thanks for another day. We're looking forward to another, you know, intense reasoning with somebody. Next strong, we don't know who will it be, but we are also looking forward to have a sponsor here. And I believe that is going to be maybe by the next 2 or 3 weeks, you know, and we will have them here talking. We don't really have to bust out anything yet until everything is sealed and signed. But we give thanks for being here today, and we give thanks to our special guests, and you know, and all the other people who listening online, you know, and never really want to say nothing, but maybe they are listen, saying we give thanks, you know, for the people over Primal, you know, and we're just happy. We're looking forward for another community buzz. Coming up is our sister, Lady D. See? So stay tuned to Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music, 24/7, right? It's Fit.